is patient. One love is kind. One love doesn't envy. One love doesn't boast. One love is not proud. One love don't dishonor. One love is not self-seeking. One love easily angry. One love don't keep record of the wrong you have done. One love don't love evil, but one love will rejoice with truth, protection, trust, and hope. We will persevere to the blessed hope. One love society. Here we are. One love society. Ooh. One love society. Here we are. One love society. Here we are. One love society. Here we are. One love society.
Well, shalom, family. Yes, this is your brother Dana, and I'm coming to you tonight from the city of Atlanta, from a place in OneLove. Maybe this weekend, I was going through TikTok, or it popped up, and I heard this song that I had never heard at all from Elvis Presley. Now, that isn't a shock to me because I never listened to Elvis Presley. I just know of a couple of his famous songs. And so that wasn't necessarily the shock to me, but the shock to me was the words in the song, which then I learned the title, In the Ghetto. And I already know that a majority of his music was written by a brother and or a sister. I know for a fact that this song, In the Ghetto, was not written by him. Because some of the things that he is sharing in this song could only come from somebody who they themselves is in the ghetto. And so when I heard this song, I began just to cry. And so I've been trying to figure out where that is coming from. And I know I've been here in Atlanta for almost a year. And then it dawned on me that for the last almost 29 to 30 years, I have lived in the ghetto. I have spent almost 30 of my 50 years of life in the ghetto. And I know that that word at times has the same connotation as the N-word does. But I hope me sharing with you some of the reasons why this song has been causing me to cry in this video, I hope it will also help you see the beauty that lies within the ghetto. That unless you live there, you'll never get to experience. And those are the things right now that I'm missing. And I think that's some of the reason for some of my sadness. And so the lyrics go, as the snow flies on a cold and gray Chicago morn, a poor little baby child is born in the ghetto, and his mama cries. 'Cause if there's one thing that she don't need, it is another hungry mouth to feed in the ghetto. Can tell you of many tears shed by mothers And the tears from me is just realizing that this young child is born in a society where just because of the color of his skin and the location of his dwelling, he is not given the same necessities, basic necessities of value of life as me with white skin. Because that mother knows that that little child, because of his skin, is going to live a life always fighting just to have a taste of what I'm freely given. And that is reason for some of the tears from those words. And it says, people, don't you understand the child needs a helping hand? And yet, my pro-life, white, evangelical, Christian family members, where are you? Where are you for that child, regardless of your judgment of the parents? Regardless if it's the woman who got pregnant and not married on the white side, or in your eyes, it's a father that is absent. I thought you were pro-life for the children. Where are you? See, people, don't you understand? The child needs a helping hand or he'll grow to be an angry young man someday. And then how all these young men that I had the privilege of crossing their path, whether they were at Cook County Jail, those 18 years, or the Juvenile Detention Center for about 13, out in the streets, or in the mentoring program, or in the community of North Lawndale where I lived, on the block, in the street. I saw their anger. I saw their anger, and I saw the reason or the culprit behind that anger. And yet, when I would go to tell my people the truth of what's really going on, the words, take a look at you and me. Are we too blind to see? Do we simply turn our heads and look the other way? Well, the world turns. And that's exactly what I saw. I mean, let's look at it. Elvis Presley is singing this song to his audience. And who was his audience? My white family. Maybe a couple specks of pepper, but my white family. And for all these years, they continue to remain blind as they turn and look the other way and say, well, as the world turns. And a hungry little boy with a runny nose plays in the street as the cold wind blows in the ghetto. I know most will, especially my white family members, will think that this is a young child out in the street, not being taken care of. Where's her mother? In the house doing drugs? No, see, I envisioned this young man out in the streets with the cool breeze during those hot summer days when we all came out of our house at the beginning of the cooling of the afternoon, late afternoon, early evening. And that cool breeze felt so good that we were all outside barbecuing. Somebody had some music down the block blaring. Some households were dancing. Others were playing some cards or games. And in the meantime, all the kids were running up and down with their trikes and bikes in the cool breeze after a hot day in Chicago. And sometimes if you looked a couple blocks down to the nearest fire hydrant, the kids were still running through it like a sprinkler. I never did learn how you guys were able to break into those fire hydrants, and then you put the wood in a certain way and it would come out and it would create this huge sprinkler. And I remember many days running through that sprinkler with the people that I lived with there in the ghetto. And his hunger burns, so he starts to roam the streets at night. And he learns how to steal, and he learns how to fight in the ghetto. And now here is where I weep, because now the victim of my people's democracy system is now making this young man the victim for simply turning to between the rock and a hard place. And now he's the victim that we've turned into a monster. And to realize the whole purpose of this, from the birth all the way until they become that young adult, is to prepare them for the modern day cotton field, which we call our correctional facilities. See, in Chicago, when I was there, a young man in the juvenile detention center would cost the state or would be paid $13,000 for his care. While at the same time, a Chicago public school student was worth $4,500. So where is the money? Then one night, in desperation, the young man breaks away. He buys a gun, he steals a car, tries to run, but he don't get far, and his mama cries. As a crowd gathers round, an angry young man, face down on the street with a gun in his hand, in the ghetto. And as her young man dies in the ghetto, and on a cold and gray Chicago morn, another little baby child is born in the ghetto, and his mama cries. I know of at least 2 times that we did all we could do to scrub the blood of these 2 mothers' sons off the pavement. Because I realized that this young man living in this society has been walked on enough. And at that last moment, she did not want anybody else to walk on her son. And that's why we aimed as hard as we could to scrub that blood from the pavement and where her son lost his life. One of the things that I always asked the Father when he called me into that inner city community is that when I shut the door, he would give me a place where I could have some reprieve. And so when you see what you see around me, These are my ways of creating an atmosphere of peace to the best of it could be in the situation I was in, living in, once I walked into those doors. And this is beautiful, and it helps, but one thing that could never be blocked, that my walls and the windows of my house could not shelter me from, were the gunshots, were the sirens, the gunshots, the screams and cries of mothers and daughters and sons. But yet amongst all of that, it was a beautiful place that the Most High Yah allowed me to live. Let me take that back. It wasn't a beautiful place. But He allowed me to live amongst some beautiful people. And that is why when I think of the ghetto, I think for myself the beauty that unless you live there, you'll never be able to experience. My mom was so impacted by the love within that inner city that to this day she will share stories about the people in the ghetto. So I just kind of took you down through a little bit of memory lane and why, tears came to my eyes and when I listened to that song, and just bringing back where I spent the last almost 30 years of my life. And I miss that. And I miss my people. The last thing that I am at all with the Most High Yah is this song is in the soundtrack with his new movie, Elvis Presley. See, Father Yah tried to warn my people all those years ago through their king. They loved his unique talent, never seen or heard before, not knowing that his talent and his pep, his style, his uniqueness was all given to him from you. Why? Because my people wouldn't allow you to be the blessing, the carriers of your talent, your abilities, your gifts. And yet that message came through back in Elvis Presley's lifetime there. And now in 2023, through a movie, the Most High Yah has given my people their final warning to who is responsible and who needs to take responsibility for our angry young black men and women. You, my brothers and sisters. And yes, I weep not only when my family members refuse to turn and look and remain blind. I weep because things have not yet changed. And to see this happening to a group of people that I love, who are my family and have been my family for 30 years. It sucks. So family, this is your brother Dana coming to you from the city of Atlanta, just sharing with you some of my life and my journey, while the Most High Yah allowed me the privilege and the honor to live in the ghetto. Shalom, family.